Hello guys, Goodlike replying to some comments today again. For that short, small announcement, I'm gonna be taking a break for now. I've already not uploaded much in the past few days, but I think for another week or two, I'll be really busy with the university stuff, so I won't actually be able to do stuff. If it was just recording, you know, it wouldn't be too much of a problem, but recording and editing it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and effort. So I'm not sure I'll have a day to put off for that, basically, in the next 2 weeks or so. If I do, I will. If I don't, I won't. That's how it's going to be. So let's get on with it. First comment by TheBokkelul. Oh sweet, you play PoE as well, and an IBer. Good choice, D. It's a fairly obvious statue, P. This is in reference to Azura's statue we talked in Morrowind. Well, if you forget about that quest, you might spend a long time figuring out why no one will deal with you. Again, in reference to the quest we talked about, which involves something starting with Za in Morrowind. Goodlike confirmed for not good at imagination. Of course, I've watched the pilot XD. This is in reference when I said that he probably had not seen the pilot video of a series because he commented on the first video as if that was the video that he had seen first. Okay, so first of all, I used to play PoE. Right now I wouldn't say I play PoE, I just turn it on every now and then to see if my builds still work. And by my builds I mean my build, which there's really, I only have one original self-made build. And it is, in fact, an infernal blower, as you have noticed. It's the build that I have shown on the video. Well, let's talk a bit about this build. I can open up a link. Right, so it's a Templar infernal blower. How did this build come to be? So, I was playing Path of Exile one day, like leveling a low-level character for something. I don't know what I was leveling. When I started to play, I was all into Lightning Arrow because of two reasons. First, it had an awesome effect. It was like the fucking iron cannon from the freaking sky. That was like the best thing. And then also, it did an insane amount of hits if you used, you know, the correct kind of links. Like if you use like something like greater projectiles and chain on Lightning Arrow, that produced how much? 5 times 3, 15 times 5, which is 75 hits or so per cast. And you could cast it pretty fast if you had a good fast bow. Which you probably did if you were elemental, and you probably were elemental back in the day. So, if you crit, the screen would just go down. It would just shake like crazy. It was the most awesome thing ever, and that's why I used it. But, unfortunately, as the game moved on, I kind of moved away from that. Because not only they nerfed the animation, it now looks pathetic. It's like a tiny lightning bolt. But it became really annoying to level without resolute technique. You need to just, I think they changed something with accuracy, but I don't remember exactly. Maybe it wasn't accuracy that was changed. Maybe I just leveled to a high level and then it became very unlikely to hit. Even with all those attacks. I don't exactly remember the details, but basically what happened was Lightning Arrow builds was just not fun anymore. And leveling with it was also like a real pain in the ass. it cost a lot of mana to actually cast those spells, so you needed like something like Eldritch Battery, or just a lot of, I wouldn't say costly, but non-trivial uniques at that time to just keep it up. Oh yeah, that's what happened. You couldn't use blood magic anymore. Yeah, because they fucked with the auras. That was the change. They fucked with the auras, made them all percentage based, so you couldn't like use blood magic for leveling with costly attacks anymore. Because previously you could just run Wrath and Anger off your health and whatever. That's like what, a few hundred? That doesn't matter for the damage it did, but after the change, like, it just wasn't worth it anymore, so I moved away from that kind of build. But yeah, I was leveling a character for something, and then my friend came over, and you know, it's low level zone, something like level 30, something like Cruel Act 1 or something. And in fact, I think I remember actually what I was leveling. I was leveling something with totems. Yeah, that was my next line of thinking. Okay, I'm gonna try out totems. And Ancestral Bond can summon up to 1 additional totem. No damage with your skills. Funnily enough, it was actually pretty fun to play in the end, but leveling with it also was a pain in the ass. The version I was going for was the low life version, with Righteous Fire and everything, back in the day when it was good. And it was really, really cool to play like that, because things died really fast if you just drop totems, curse. Drop totems, curse. So basically the entire game was drop totems, curse, run. Drop totems, curse, run. Drop totems, curse, run. Unfortunately, you could only play in docks, which made it fucking boring still. So I moved away from that as well, because it was, first of all, boring, and second, it required like the Chevron's wrappings, I think it's called, which made it very impractical, because that was the most expensive unique at the time, and well, without it, the build just didn't work anywhere else. If I had gotten something like that, it would have been awesome, and I would have played like probably a lot more, because I could just run around everywhere casting totems and cursing everything with double curse, elemental weakness, and conductivity. Oh yeah, with Righteous Fire, with everything. Oh yeah. If chaos damage wasn't a thing, I think that would have been one of the most fun builds actually to play. But unfortunately, alas, you could not do so. So once again, I was leveling that character, my friend comes in, and he starts just one-shotting everything and blowing shit up. And I ask him, what the hell, bro? And he's all like, face breakers. And the moment I saw face breakers, I realized I want to build with face breakers. It's not even because I like punching things or whatever. It's because it's like the most cheap, effective unique in the entire fucking game. Face breakers cost like what? 1-2 chaos, and they basically by themselves pretty much carried you through the leveling, through the entirety of the leveling process. You put on face breakers, you win. That's how good of an item face breakers are. I freaking loved the concept, because it was so easy to just make it do insane damage. Well, it was easy-ish, let's say. You still needed to have very specific items. It was doable. It was something that, you know, any person, any player could do just by putting a decent amount of time in. It wasn't like super expensive or super grindy. So I leveled like 5 different characters or something over my entire time that just were based around face breakers. And I tried to make a build that would work really well with them. And by well, I mean something that would actually work in the endgame, you know, in the maps and stuff. And the build that I had made at that time, a long time ago, before the game launched in the beta, it was the Infernal Blow Templar. And it was similar to the build I linked now. I mean, it was different, obviously, because at the time the tree was vastly different. Like, the middle part practically didn't exist and stuff like that. But at the time it had all of the goodies. It had Resolute Technique, it had about about 40 area radius from talent trees. It had Eldritch Battery, and it also had Iron Reflexes. At that time I wasn't using another node, what's it called? The one that prevents stunning, unwavering stance. I skipped out on it. What else did I add? I had tons of mana regeneration, like about 160 from the tree or something. Maybe a little less, 120. And the rest was just like buff effect and life and just all the nodes of like strength and dexterity and intellect to just get from one place to another. And a bunch of armor, stuff like Master of the Arena, and so on and so forth. All the goodies. And that build had the potential at like around level 90 maybe, which is pretty high, but still decent. It's sort of manageable if you put time to it. It had the potential to actually have like max block and max spell block and everything with mostly unique items. And that's what I love about that build. It basically used pretty much unique items in every slot except jewelry. In jewelry you needed like very strong jewelry if you wanted to use full uniques. You needed physical damage, life, mana regeneration, and a little bit of resistance. So pretty specific kind of rings. But they existed. I checked the marketplaces and such rings did exist. They were a little bit too expensive for me, but they existed, and that was, you know, the point. That you could make a pretty insane build with just all those items. I believe it ran 6 auras or so as well. It was basically amazing. Its only weakness was that it gained life pretty late into the leveling cycle. Like, at the time, I had about 2,000 life at level 66 or so. No, 66. Well, yeah, it was around 66, but I didn't actually have a good opportunity to put life all the way up to 70 something. It would have gotten some more life, but I happened to have pretty shitty rolls on my items, on my jewelry and stuff, and 2,000 life didn't quite cut it for those times. Now you could see it's running 2.7k, and it doesn't really matter. Like, 2.7k is more than enough today somehow. 2k was not enough back in the day. But anyway, the final thing that was awesome about it is obviously that it was Infernal Blower with potentially 80 to 100 increased area of effect. Yeah, the radius. With that character, I mostly farmed Sarn, City of Sarn. In that area, there's these tiny little dudes, like, but there's a bunch of them. And I would just walk in the middle of them, hit one of them, and then the whole screen would just explode. It was kind of like playing Discharge, except you didn't actually need any charges. You just walk in and you blow shit up. Yeah, of course it didn't do as much damage, but still, it was just the most awesome thing ever. So why did I stop playing? Well, two things happened. Both when they launched the game, and first of all, they fucked with the auras, and they made it practically impossible to stack auras. Like right now I'm running at what, like 4? But those aren't even the best ones. And since you couldn't run, for example, any more purity as easily, because you would want to run something like grace and determination still, because you want that armor. As a melee, you want armor and stuff. So running purity becomes impossible. I mean, I run it now, but as you can see, my survivability is a little bit compromised at times. Like, I wouldn't play this build in hardcore, let's put it that way. And in order to even do that, you have to spend an enormous amount of points into aura nodes. Like, you have to get 4 clusters. 4 clusters of aura nodes across the tree. Thankfully, they're pretty close to where the build goes anyway. And you need to invest a lot to actually be able to use 4 auras, and that just completely saps the ability of the build to actually pick up other stats such as block or life. Combined with the fact that you couldn't use auras to compensate for lack of gear, it became just pretty much pointless. Basically, my build got ruined and it never really recovered, even to this day. I mean, you see it kind of works, but it's not something you can take to hardcore, like I said. And if you can't take it to hardcore, you know, there's no point. You might as well make a better build. Anyway, long story short, I used to play Path of Exile. It used to be awesome, but they then started changing shit, and I just stopped playing because they ruined my builds. My builds, man. I need my builds. Can't live without my builds. I need them. Alright. Now, regarding my imagination, it's not necessarily that I'm bad at imagining things. It's just I'm bad at coming up with them. A good example is like this. You give me a chair, and you give me 10 liters of water, and the chair is broken. I will figure out how to fix the chair with 10 liters of water. I'll do it. But if you just give me a broken chair and tell me to fix it, then it's gonna take me forever to figure out, hey, I need 10 liters of water, and then fix it. That's the problem. You know? If you give me all I need, I can easily come up with something. If I have all the pieces of a puzzle, I can put it together. But if you only give me an outline, I don't know what to do. That's what I mean, that I'm bad at imagination. I can't come up with something out of nowhere, out of context, or some such. Well, it's not that I can't, but it takes me a lot of time and effort to do so. So, yeah, that's basically what I meant, I think. Alright, next comment by TheBokkelul. Aha, so your high alchemy skills, so that's why you were saying you can now print money. XD. Fair enough. Well, you don't need to realize what the effects of a potion are for them to have those effects. If you were to drink half a bottle of vodka without realizing it's vodka you've been drinking, you'll probably still get drunk, wouldn't ya? P. Well, that's a good philosophical question. Like, if a man drinks a bottle of vodka, but he doesn't know it's a bottle of vodka, would he still get drunk? You know, common sense seems to say yes, but you never know because, you know, maybe he won't. You have to understand thoroughly what is exactly drunk and what is in vodka that makes you drunk and how it all correlates and connects. You can't make those sweeping statements that if you drink alcohol, you get drunk. Maybe you get drunk in certain situations easier than in others, you know? It's very easy to just make those assumptions and say, well, that's how it works, but is it really how it works? Maybe it works on you or on me, but maybe some other guy out there would not get drunk from a bottle of vodka he didn't know was vodka. Either way, whichever is the case, what I probably meant is that it is actually pretty silly that once you have those effects, you can't actually identify what they are without this knowledge of alchemy. Like, you know, if I were to drink that vodka and I would get drunk, you know, you would think that then I would have a mental note, hey, vodka gets me drunk. I wouldn't then come up to another bottle of vodka and think, you know, I drank a bottle of vodka and it got me drunk. And I have this bottle of vodka. I wonder what will happen if I drink it. I have no idea. That's sort of what I meant. It really doesn't make sense that your knowledge of what happens doesn't actually appear for some reason. I mean, maybe it does, but I recall drinking healing potions, and I only remember seeing what the healing potions do after I actually leveled my alchemy. I don't recall ever seeing like that after drinking a potion that it restores 5 health. Because I was so surprised to see that it restores like 5 health or something. So that's basically what I meant. It's not that these effects can or cannot be had. It's that once you have those effects, it only makes sense to somehow at least mentally note to yourself that you have them. Or something. Horuzs says, jJuegan como el culo XDDDD, and with the power of Google Translate, it means in Spanish playing as the ass. This person clearly doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's commenting on my Left 4 Dead 2 video, and I don't know what the hell he's on, but there are absolutely no donkeys in that game. Like, not even one. What is even the correlation between zombies and Left 4 Dead and donkeys? There's nothing to do with each other. Hell, donkeys don't even appear that often in games. Like, the only game that comes to mind that has donkeys is like Worms. And there's like this donkey that does something. I don't remember because it's been like years since I played Worms. Back on PlayStation 1. Long time ago. Possibly a decade. And that's the only game I remember that has a donkey. So I couldn't be playing as a donkey because the game doesn't actually involve a donkey, so I can't actually play as one. These people are crazy. I don't know what the hell they're saying. Right, next comment by TheBokkelul. And he quotes, "That was a pain in the ass. You could also have like 2/3 of ellipses not kill the woman in the bar, XD. Quote again, self-defense. Yeah, right. More than dot more than." You're saying that it's not self-defense and that I actually killed the woman in cold blood. But if you review the videotape of the happening, you can clearly see how the woman attacked me first. All I was doing was having a brawling competition with the Nord, right? And some other guy, it's not important right now. And the Nord lost, and he happened to lose his conscience at the same time. You know, it happens. Sometimes you get punched in the face and you lose consciousness. It's perfectly normal occurrence, especially in bars. But the catch is that she then assaulted me for no reason. She didn't even tell me, you know, what was the reason for assaulting me. If she had at least said, "Oh no, not my friend nor the stupid bar drinking punching bastard," or something, I would have seen the connection and maybe tried to apologize or something, you know. But no, this woman just comes out of nowhere and starts stabbing me after a brawl. So I try to subdue her, but you know, I'm still kind of groggy. I got punched in the face, or close to the face, a few times in this brawl. I mean, it's a Nord. His fists are so big and his muscles so strong that even if he doesn't hit me because I dodge with my ninja reflexes, the air pressure from the attack still kind of it doesn't actually hit me, but it confuses me a little bit, you know? So I couldn't actually deal with this woman. I was tired from the battle. Those drugs that I used before the fight, they can only go so far, you know? So I was trying to take her out and I was failing and she was stabbing me and I was like bleeding to death. And then I realized, you know, this is not gonna work. I can't beat her. I can't do anything. So I thought, I'm gonna scare her by pulling out a sword. I mean, when a ninja pulls out a weapon, you know shit's serious business, and you're not gonna deal with that shit. So I pull out a weapon, my dagger, trusty dagger, and she's all like, oh no, I give up, and runs off. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. And I'm like, you know, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I better check up on the Nord, see how it's going, and she just turns around swiftly and starts stabbing me in the back. This was a special tactic. She saw the weapon and, you know, she pretended to be scared so that I would lose my focus and that she could, you know, surprise attack me. And, you know, like, no person would do that shit. Like, she clearly was out for my blood. In fact, given the fact that this happened in a place where the assassins are living, she was probably a honorary Dark Brotherhood assassin. I'm telling you. And, well, obviously when she backstabbed me, I realized that she's not gonna stop. She's just some sort of evil that must be put to an end. Unfortunately, like I said, these assassins, they're pretty high quality, so she played off the role of being a woman in distress all the way to the end, even with her dying breath. So the local authorities obviously started chasing me. So yeah, that's the story. I have it all on tape. You can see that everything that I have said was true. So it was self-defense. It's a good thing I have ties with the Thieves Guild, so pathetic attempts to frame me don't actually work, because I'm awesome like that. Alright, next comment by TheBokkelul. The leveling system of Morrowind is very old school and pretty complex for newbies. Once you understand how the system works, it's quite awesome. 1,000,000 times better than the leveling in Skyrim. 2/3 of ellipses. To get bonuses to endurance, you need to level skills related to it. How does that not make sense? Say you use lots of heavy armor in your adventures, you're gonna get better in using heavy armor, leveling the skill heavy armor. But when your character has been running around all this time, it's probably gonna get stronger, or in this case, it's gonna raise his endurance. So if you level skills related to the endurance attribute, your endurance will get bonuses when you level up. For each level up, you need to level up any of your major skills a total of 10 times. You can get the level up bonuses by leveling up a lot of major, but preferably minor skills that relate to a certain attribute. So you can get 10 skill increases in, say, Alchemy and gain a level. That will give you a bonus for intelligence, I believe, but no bonuses to other attributes. So you also level up your heavy armor or medium armor skills, most likely at a trainer since you don't actually use heavy armor. And this training will be visualized by giving you a bonus to endurance during level up. Also, there is a maximum of, I believe, 3 to the attribute bonuses. Any excess training above that will be lost after level up. So whether you train 10 levels of heavy armor or 50, the bonus will still be 3. Oblivion, they changed it so that excess training would actually carry over to the next level up. That was pretty nice. But then they had a restriction where you could only train at a trainer 5 times the level, which kinda sucked. Also important to note, enemies do not scale with player level at all, except for the assassins, but they are special. they sent different kinds of assassins after you. As you have noticed, the scrub assassins were still very weak when you fought them in their base. Technically, they also do not scale with the player level. Okay, so first of all, alright, they don't scale with the player level. That's very good. It's very good. That's very good in this case, which makes the system manageable. It's not too bad if you fuck up the leveling. In the grand scheme of things, it's only gonna hurt you in the short term, basically. But I still think that the leveling system doesn't really make sense. So let's go over the things that you said. First of all, regarding Skyrim, yes, I do agree that it's better than Skyrim. Because, like I said, Skyrim leveling system was way too simplistic. It offered 3 choices, and most of the choices didn't even really make that much sense. Like, you didn't really need stamina. What, to run a little bit further? That's pointless. Did you need magicka? Only if you were playing mage, and mage in Skyrim sucked, so no, you didn't need magicka. So you pretty much just leveled health. The reason it doesn't make sense that you gain bonuses to endurance when you level skills related to it is because of the reason that you mentioned yourself. First of all, it caps, meaning that regardless of how many levels you may level up, it's only gonna give you a certain amount of bonus, which is whatever. Second of all, once again, another thing you mentioned is the bonuses don't carry over, meaning that if I level my alchemy 100 of times, I'm only gonna get a bonus for 1 level, which once again doesn't make sense. Finally, even if I get the bonuses to these skills, I don't actually need to use them, so I could theoretically pick stats that get no bonuses even if I leveled up only my heavy armor. I could put points into intellect, and those bonuses then would disappear the next level even though I made no use of them. A much better system would be where you get the bonuses as passive level ups as you level up your skills. So let's say you level up your heavy armor, and as a result your endurance automatically rises as you level up heavy armor. And then when you level up, you just get 5 points, no bonuses, just points that you can put wherever to whatever. To me, that kind of system would actually make sense, because then, you know, it makes sense that you gain endurance because you leveled something that wouldn't do it. And this makes sense not only from a realistic perspective, but also from a game perspective, because, like I said, I've leveled up a bunch of levels like before, like speed or whatever, and I lost so many bonuses because I did it at once. But who the hell is gonna level up their speed and sneak and jumping and sleep every 10 level ups? And that's not how it works. Nobody would do that. It would have made it just extremely annoying to actually level up like that. And that's basically what I mean. The system is extremely annoying to maximize. It's just extremely annoying to actually go and level up very particular skills. Like, you may be going through a dungeon, get like a bunch of level ups to skills, and then realize, oh no, well now you're not gonna get the bonuses that you want because you spent too much in the dungeon. So what is the alternative? You get through like a third of a dungeon, go back to town, level up some alchemy, go back into the dungeon, get another third of the dungeon, go back to town again, level up alchemy again, go back to the dungeon again, finally finish it, and then come back and still level up a little bit of alchemy just to get your bonuses. Like, that's just stupid. Like, in my opinion, the leveling system, when it's being maximized, should make sense. It shouldn't interrupt gameplay, because in this case you're essentially looking at 2 potential outcomes. Either you design the game around the idea that people are not gonna do that, and then people who are gonna do that are just gonna face roll through the game. Or you design the game around the fact that they will do that, and then people will play the game and hit some sort of a wall, while they suddenly can't pass because they didn't fucking go back to town every third of a dungeon to level up a random skill that had nothing to do with anything. I mean, you could argue that it kind of makes role-playing more interesting, maybe, because as you're role-playing, you obviously will not go back to the fucking town to level up random skills, so you essentially role-playing becomes like a challenge mode or something. But, you know, the issue is the same, you know. You play as a role player, and then you suddenly run into something you simply cannot beat because you don't have enough stat. So what do? In a real life, if you were to role play, you would just go against it, die, your life would end, and as a result, this translates into you go in there, you die, and you stop your playthrough because you can't get past something. I mean, I know it's a little bit more complicated than that, and in a game like Morrowind, you actually have a lot of options to just become overpowered with like potions and enchants, as you've mentioned before. You can most likely stack them insanely high, as I have done myself in Skyrim in the past. That doesn't really excuse the leveling system not making actual sense. It just means, you know, that the more and further I play this game, the more I will be inclined to just find some cheap way to get out of the situation. And the less likely that I'm gonna have like awesome fights like against the Assassin's Brotherhood, where literally it was tooth and nail to the very last assassin, pretty much, where I needed all the items that I looted from them, and I had only so much time to rest to actually recover them, and I had only so many potions to actually effectively use. As time goes on, obviously, I will fall behind with my stats, and I won't be able to keep up, and then eventually I will have to, I don't know, get 100% chameleon and just kill everybody because they cannot see me, so therefore I just kill everybody cheaply. But then, what's the fucking point? I want to, if possible, avoid that and have a good time and have a good, like, fight where I have to use things that I have. And the leveling system is made in such a way that doesn't help at all. It just simply converges towards that result as time goes on. That's what I mean that it doesn't make sense. It just not very good. I don't remember if actually in Oblivion they would carry over. I believe they wouldn't carry over, or at least they wouldn't at the start, or you needed some sort of mod for it to actually carry over, because it had a very similar issue where I leveled up to a really high level because I leveled a bunch of stats. Like I had almost, not all, but most of non-magic stats. I think I had near 100 or at 100 when I was playing. And then I would go into a dungeon and try to kill an enemy that was scaled to my level, and it was basically essentially me rearing, like I said, 100 chameleon and smashing it for like 10 minutes with the most damaging weapon that I had, because, you know, I didn't have enough level of bonuses as I was leveling through. So I'm basically speaking from experience that on paper it might make sense, but in practice it just causes an interesting gameplay. Next comment by TheBokkelul, and you will notice that I skip a few comments because you know, they're mostly statements. I don't think they need a reply, an explicit reply anyway. I have read through them and I understand them, so I'll move on to those that need clarification, specifically this one. You said in this video that you don't have glass armor yet. Actual ellipses. Well, that's true, but I blame it all on you. You left some very decent glass armor wrapped around the legs of that guy that was holding Dilborn in the sewers till money would magically appear, :P. Well, first of all, I have no idea how glass armor looks like. Second of all, just because somebody has glass armor doesn't mean I'm gonna kill them and take them from them. I mean, it's not like he was selling his glass armor, so I assume you're insinuating that I should have kicked his ass But I didn't want to do it at that time. Remember, first of all, I was not alone. I had 2 NPCs with me, one following and the other one captured. Second of all, I had no idea how strong these guys were, meaning that they could easily dispatch the NPCs, especially one of them being naked. I may not even be able to paralyze them. Third of all, even if they wouldn't be able to dispatch the NPCs, I'd probably just kill the NPCs accidentally with my amazing fucking weapons. And fourth of all, I'm fucking rich. Why the hell wouldn't I not pick the money option? It's easier, faster, less bodies, less nonsense. You may be confused in thinking that I'm some sort of homicidal maniac because I just killed somebody here or there. But, you know, I do it when I have to do it. It's not just on a random whim, you know? There has to be a good reason for me to start poking somebody to death, basically. Usually the reason is something like it's an annoying fucking wild animal that is trying to eat me, or, you know, it's an annoying fucking wild king that's trying to get me killed, or something else along the lines. Not gonna just assault everybody, that's ridiculous. Next comment by TheBokkelul. Try levitation out when you're back on Morrowind. Speed is dependent on the level of the levitate enchantment, but yeah, it pretty much does exactly what it says, call on levitation. Okay, dude, like, that is not explanatory at all. Let's see what this is the dictionary definition, and let's specifically use Oxford Dictionary because we all know that's the most relevant of dictionaries. And it defines levitate: rise or cause to rise and hover in the air, typically by means of supposed magical powers. So, what you're basically saying, if I drink that potion, I'm going to rise in the air and hover. But that doesn't explain any interactions with it. If I'm in the air and hovering, technically I shouldn't be able to move. You know, just like how in space people need some sort of, well, anything to actually move. They need either an object which they can use to push themselves away, or they need kind of those sprays that allow you to move around. I have no such thing, so really, technically, that levitation could just cause me to get stuck in the air. I assume that's not exactly what it does, but see, that doesn't explain. Also, I don't know how high in the air would I be from levitation. I could be a little bit in the air, or I could be scaling mountains. Also, maybe I can adjust how much I hover, like, for example, by jumping in the air, or something like that. So, you know, sure, I understand that I will be somewhere in the air, but that doesn't explain any of the mechanical intricacies of the act. Alright, so, yeah, that's about it. There are a few more comments, but yeah, they're mostly self-explanatory, I believe. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.
Reporting for duty. Attention,
For
class.
the wild.
To Northrend!
For the wild.
I am not a morning person.
What to do? For the wild.
The Frost Wolves stand ready.
Not on my watch.
I wonder. For the wild.
Not on my watch.
Tazdingo!
Reporting for duty.
The Frost Wolves stand ready.
Not on my watch.